Good morning. Good morning. My name is Ann Pearl, and I'm going to be your worship associate today. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing hymn number 221 in your gray hymnal, Light One Candle.
Good morning. My name is Pat Krugman, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley. Whether you have been with this congregation a while, a decade or more, or this is your first time visiting us, we welcome you. Whatever your theological stance, we welcome you. Whoever you are, and whomever you love, we welcome you. Whatever your heritage, we welcome you. We respectfully acknowledge the territory on which our church building sits as the ancestral home of the Munsee, Lenape, and Wappinger people. We do have a few announcements. I'm going to attempt to read them from my cell phone. Let's see here. Okay. I'll read them in the order I received them. Okay, here we go. After the service today, stop by the ARE table in the fellowship hall and sign a letter to Governor Hochul asking her to sign into law bills A769-1/S1163A. These bills would result in the formation of a reparations commission in New York State for studying and developing reparation proposals for African Americans. You can also sign these bills online by referring to the weekly e-news. Thanks for your support of racial justice in New York State. Please take notice that a special meeting of the members of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley, that's us, will be held on next Sunday, December 17th, 2023 at 11:30 a.m. in the sanctuary of the congregation at 2021 Albany Post Road, Croton-on-Hudson, New York, pursuant to Section 5.2 of the bylaws. The purpose of this meeting is to seek the congregation's consent to the spending of approximately $33,000 from the Sustainability Fund to pay to have the church building painted. Because this is more than the amount the board can authorize without prior consent, the board is seeking congregational consent for this expenditure. I was hoping somebody could vote proxy for me because I'm not going to be here, but Nora said no. Thanks to everyone who participated in our holiday gift giving program. Just a reminder that the gifts are due today. If you took one of the blue tags for Hope Store but forgot your gift, please talk to Terry after the service. Also, if you'd still like to participate, just put a check in the collection or send one to Rita and let Bernie and Terry know the amount so we can shop for you. We truly appreciate the generosity of this beloved community. And there's one more. The membership committee is organizing our annual potluck gathering after the Christmas Eve service. If you plan to attend, look for a sign-up sheet during coffee hour and let us know what you will be bringing for a main dish, a salad, or a dessert. That is on Sunday the 24th. And Sherry says thank you. Also, from me and the Arts Committee, look in the fellowship hall after service. We still have some beautiful wreaths, trays, and plates. They're going like hotcakes, so don't wait. For the most up-to-date information on these topics and others, please refer to our weekly East newsletter and check our website frequently. And please join us for conversation after the service. If you are present in the sanctuary, please join us for coffee and conversation in Fellowship Hall. If you're watching the live stream, the link for our Zoom coffee hour can be found in the Saturday reminder in your email. If you are just recently joining us and would like to receive our weekly e-news, please email us at uucroton@gmail.com with your name, and we will make sure you are added to our e-news list. Also, please remember to silence your cell phones at this time. Once again, we welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley. I think I left some time for you.
We are a busy community. I go guest preach for 2 weeks, and all these wonderful things are happening. I am so happy to be with you today. I am excited that we gather in our sanctuary, in our meeting house, as many people in one room, surrounded by one light that reflects through many windows. We see that there are many pathways to goodness, that there are many stories and inspirations that lead us to connect with one another. I offer a blessing from the president of the Unitarian Universalist Association, Reverend Sophia Betancourt. I send my love and blessing to all who will gather to light the menorah in sacred remembrance of the struggles and miracles experienced by those who came before. May our love be great enough to encompass all humanity and may our prayers be for peace. During this festival of lights in the tradition, in this time we are called to renew our faith in miracles. May we find ourselves reconnected with the essence of life. May we find those brief moments when the world stops and nothing lies before us but the wonder and goodness of the small things, the sacred encounters. So on this Hanukkah, the festival of dedication, we dedicate ourselves to those values of compassion and love unfolding. And every week in our sanctuary, we ring a bell. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we're going to try it today. And the children of the congregation are invited to go to the bell tower and ring our bell 8 times for our 8 principles of faith. And in honor of the 8 lights, the 8 days of this sacred time. If that bell doesn't work, we have another plan. Okay. We ring it. And the bell in our tower and the bell in our sanctuary echo and remind us of those unfolding connections. And in that spirit, we now have our chalice lighting.
Our chalice reading today is by Sarah York. We receive fragments of holiness, glimpses of eternity, brief moments of insight. Let us gather them up for the precious gifts that they are, and, renewed by their grace, move boldly into the unknown. Now please join me in our unison affirmation. The words are printed in your order of service. Inspired by love, our mission is to seek our true nature, connect deeply and openly, and act for justice. Sorry. We're doing the next. Oh, I'm so sorry. Please rise and body your spirit now and join us in singing one of our very favorite hymns, number 123 in your gray hymnal, Spirit of Life.
Normally, this is the time in our service we do maybe 5 minutes of deep meditation. Today, because we are in the sacred season, a time of holidays, we will offer a story. And in case you're curious, this is a sacred season for many. On the back of your order of service, you'll note the different holidays that we will be celebrating this month. There are far more than we can hold in the 3 or 4 days that we gather on Sunday. But this time of year, whether it is Buddha's birthday or the birth of Christ or Hanukkah or the solstice, is a time rich with stories of recommitment, particular traditions that each have distinct lessons. And each of those lessons offers us an opportunity to go deeper, to answer who we are in many ways. At the beginning of our hymn book, which is called Singing the Living Tradition, it is written, religion is a present reality. It is also an inheritance. Or to use a more current expression, a living faith has roots and wings. And the living faith we're going to hear about today is from a UU young adult who is proudly both Jewish and UU. She writes about the time she was in 4th grade, and her name is Jacqueline. I was on the bus, and my friend Sarah just stared blankly at the aisle, and she said, "Jackie, you have to pick one." And the bus lurched to a stop before continuing on its predetermined track to let us off one by one onto our weekends. "No, I don't," my 4th grade self said, tired of what already felt like round 3 of my conversation with Sarah. "People can celebrate whatever holidays they want." "No, you can't," said Sarah. "You either go to church and you celebrate Christmas, or you go to temple or whatever and you celebrate Hanukkah. You can't do both, Jackie. It's one or the other. Pick." And I paused to consider the choices she offered. And I wanted to say, "None of the above." But instead I said, "Well, what if you celebrate Hanukkah at church?" Thinking I had said a very wise retort. And then Sarah looked at me with a blank stare and simply said, "No, you have to pick." But I realized something that day that I've often been reminded of throughout my journey toward embracing my religious identity, a pluralist identity that says there's no sense for multiple choice answers when you need room to write out a short answer, or better, an essay. Love is at the center of our faith, and there are many ways to get there. As with so many Unitarian Universalists, my religious journey began with a question. Not my own, but my parents. Coming from 2 very different traditions, they sought a religious home where they could raise a family, one that appreciated their diverse heritage and provided room for us to follow our own spiritual quests. Their question, "Where is our religious home?" it didn't have an easy answer. Most congregations, temples, synagogues, and churches do not embrace both Jewish and Christian traditions as contributing equally. December for our family, though, meant a flurry of revolving decorations between birthdays, Hanukkah, and Christmas in a variety of chronological combinations given that particular year's calendar. But my family found a home at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta one Sunday in December. And my mother walked in and saw a chalice, an Advent wreath, and a menorah, and she started to cry. We were all welcome in this space. For my brothers and me, religious pluralism was as much a part of our lives as all the food that accompanied our interactions. We spent Friday evenings at the dinner table, often with food from the grocery bakery or with pizza, or, and this is apropos given Reverend Lane's sermon, the latest episode of Star Trek. And we put our own spin on the Sabbath prayers and songs that marked the end of the week. When I left for college, I began on the High Holy Days to attend a congregation. And one of the members asked, "Oh, are you Jewish?" And I said, "Yes and no." I'm a Jewish Unitarian Universalist. I am grateful for my family, and I am grateful for the freedom of our faith. So on this day, when we have a month of beautiful stories unfolding, may we be honored to be part of that freedom and that love that is at the center. May it be so. And in that spirit, our children will learn about religious pluralism today, and we will sing "Go Now in Peace," number 413.
Second reading today is by Reverend Orlando Brugnola. It's called "Visible in This Time." Reverend Brugnola is a former minister of our congregation, an AIDS hospice chaplain, and of blessed memory. Flame, friend of our most ancient ancestors, we kindle you now to make you visible in this time. Yet in truth, you burn always, in the unique worth of each person, in the imagination, in the turning of the heart to sorrow or joy, in the call to hope and in the call to justice. Burn bright before us, burn bright within us. Flame, friend of our most ancient ancestors, we kindle you now to make you visible in this time. Let us now bear witness to the joys and sorrows experienced in our community. If you have a brief yet personally significant joy or sorrow that you are willing to share, please come up to the microphone and speak loudly so that everyone, including the people watching at home, can hear you. If you would prefer only to have a candle lit without speaking, please just stand or raise your hand and I will light a candle for you. I'm going to light the first candle. Which I will light for all suffering in the conflicts in the world, in Gaza and in Israel, in South Sudan and Ukraine, and so many places. Let's have a moment of silence for all those aching and in mourning in the wider world. I light a second candle for all the joys, quiet, gentle, and profound, occurring all across this planet in cities, towns, and villages at this very moment. Let's have another moment of silence for all the joy in our world. As we honor the sorrows and joys of the wider world, so do we also have personal joys and sorrows. Now is the time for our personal joys and sorrows.
As you know, I'm Pat Krugman. A personal joy of the mixed feelings. I'm not going to call him my ex anymore because we've been a part of each other's lives for 40 years. My former husband, Lee, has had a blood disorder for a very long time, and it has progressed to the point where he basically has been on chemo, and he needs to replace his bone marrow. They actually found 2 donors that are 100% match, which is amazing. And he's been going through a long process with Sarah of deciding, should he do this, should he not? He has decided to do it. And there are a team of us, his friends, of which I am a part, that we're going to be going and taking care of him on different days of the week. He'll be in the hospital for a couple of months, and then he'll need home care for a long time as he recovers. I am so grateful for all of the people that are helping him out. And please say a prayer for Sarah, who is womaning this on her own for the most part with lots of support. Thank you.
Good morning. I'd like to light a candle this morning for my friends Art Lowenstein and Annie Patton. Some of you might know them from the Hastings congregation. They were supposed to be on their way out to Seattle to welcome their first grandchild this week. And instead, Art is going to be undergoing removal of a mass from his lung, and I don't know if he's having the spinal surgery at the same time, but he's found himself in a very serious, very precarious health situation suddenly, and he is a strong and tough and wonderful human being, and we're just saying lots of prayers for him and for Annie.
Please keep your hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to take me a minute. Well, you know what? I'll say my joy while I'm lighting these candles, and let's hope I don't lose count. So I have a joy today. It is my youngest son, Nikki's 32nd birthday. And that didn't take nearly long enough.
You must have been a child.
I was. Yes, that's true. Because he's my youngest son. I think I got everyone. Great. We also acknowledge all the unspoken joys and sorrows held within, oh, I'm sorry, not yet. Please come, please come. Okay.
I'm Ginny Stillman, and I have two joys. One is that I'm singing this weekend with Hudson Chorale, beautiful music at the Mary Knoll Chapel. We had our first concert yesterday, and the second one is today. Besides singing the Messiah, which everyone knows, we're singing a beautiful piece of music called The Ballad of the Brown King, written by a female black composer that most of you have never heard of, but who is being rediscovered, and just a gorgeous piece of music. I think, Betsy, you heard it yesterday. Was it just amazing? Yeah. There might still be a ticket left. It's at 3 o'clock at Mary Knoll. Anyway, and the other joy is I'm looking forward to seeing my son, Lauren, who's coming in from Missoula, Montana, to play a gig up here in Verplank at a place called Kino Saito on Thursday. So I don't get to see him more than about once a year, sadly, but it'll be a joy to see him.
Now, thank you. We also acknowledge all the unspoken joys and sorrows held within the sanctuary of our hearts, and all those people who have yet to find a spiritual home where they too can share their joys and sorrows. Do you want me to introduce? No. Okay.
Now is the time in our service for a moment of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life and love, bigger than the universe, smaller than a grain of sand, be with us in the sacred questions. All around us we have opportunities to encounter. Give us the grace and the patience and imagination to respond with love. All around us there is aching and anger and confusion. Give us the grace to be present and honor life. All around us there is coldness. May we be stewards of warmth in difficult times. Slowly and surely give us the imagination to be present to unfolding stories and to see what may be. May it be so. The youth of our congregation are really wise. Yesterday, I had the gift of being in a workshop with some of our coming-of-age youth. And the premise of the workshop was a question box where the young adult 7th graders could ask questions about anything related to our tradition, related to faith. I wasn't quite sure what would come about. Some of you might have seen a photo that Jane posted on our social media where Reverend Lane and myself both were looking really seriously in response to one of the questions. And the questions that our youth ask are profound, and they see what's happening all around us. One of the youth, who is a 7th grader, looked at me and said, if all religions have teachings of compassion, Why are so many religious people mean? If there is something about us that connects us, why do so many people look for an enemy? Why do so many people look for a common enemy? Is there something in us that makes us want to hate other people? I was expecting the question about the chalice. I was moved by the questions about the profundity of who we are as people, and asking these deep theological questions that challenge in some ways the premise of our hopes, that all of these traditions can come together, that there is a common ground, that we as people can act in a way that is transformative. And our hope, what I offered, was that the only thing we can control is what we do or don't do. Only thing we can control is what we do or don't do. Can't control what others in this world do, but you can decide on this festival of dedication, what are you dedicated to? And this also went to the most basic level in the family, where one child asked, when my brother hits me, why can't I hit him back? And that in some ways is a very straightforward question, but I think it actually ties to this question of evil and enemy and these broader actions, because it's like, who are we accountable to? Who do we want to be? That's the only thing we can control. We can join in community to cherish these values, to support them, to sustain them, to accompany one another. And even when we have disagreements in our congregation, we can still work towards repair. And just like in life, sometimes we need to take seasons to reflect and come back and recommit. But their questions are just at the heart of what we're doing. One of them was in awe of this book because it's so old. This hymn book that is published in 1945. This is the ancestor of singing the living tradition. One of them said, "This book is older than my mother." And there are all these songs about love and hope and possibility, and creation's morning song in 1945. Why on planet Earth would anyone have hope for humanity in 1945? But someone did. Someone did. And they were thinking about the kids who were going to be singing these songs and would grow up. And the songs that we sing and the work that we do is tied to this effort. A few years before that hymn book was written, in 1938, here in New York State, in the Lower East Side, Ham Potok was a little kid. He grew up to be a conservative rabbi. And in his short stories, Miracles for a Broken Planet, he recalls what it was like being a kid in the Depression, being a Jewish boy in the Depression. And he describes that the final years of the Depression that December lay like a polluting mist across the streets of New York. And he and his parents gathered in a dark apartment, and news of the growing violence in Germany had reached their home. And on the 8th and final night of that festival, he says, I stood with my parents in front of the burning candles. And it felt like the darkness mocked the light of these candles. And he said, I could see my parents glancing at me. My mother sighed. And then my father murmured my name. Do you want another miracle? He asked wearily. I did not respond. Yes, you want another miracle. He was silent a moment. And then his father said in a gentle, urging voice, "I also want another miracle. But if it does not come, we will make a human miracle. We will give the world a special gift. We will not let the world burn out our souls. We can give the world the gift of our tradition, our Jewishness." And the candles glowed feebly against the dark window. And then he said, his father is looking at him and said, "Sometimes I think that humanity is actually a greater miracle maker than God. God does not have to live day to day on this broken planet. Perhaps, son, you will learn to make your own miracles. We will teach you. We will try to teach you how to make miracles." How to make miracles. All over this world right now, people are looking for miracles. They're desperate for them, and they're doing them. Last month, our congregation collected money for American Friends of the Parent Circle in Israel. It is a countercultural organization made up of Palestinian and Israeli families who have lost loved ones in this war, in these wars over the last 20 years. And they commit to meet regularly. There are over 700 of them. They were profiled recently by a columnist who began saying, "I thought, why should I even spend time talking with this group? Because clearly they failed because of the war that we are in right now." And yet his heart melted. And he said, in this world where so many people are arsonists and are interested in destruction, could we be on the side of firefighters? People who are trying, despite every reason not to say, how can we build a constituency that can reimagine a future? Reimagine a future of peace and hope and security, where these dreams are not dreams but just lived reality. Can we be on the side of firefighters? I have tremendous awe for the rabbis of the 2nd century who reinterpreted Hanukkah. Because if you look at the original text, it was a military victory celebration. 8 days of celebration in honor of the conquest, the overthrow of the oppressive Seleucid dynasty. A violent, cruel group that forced the repression of ancient traditions. But the successors, the Maccabees, when they won, they ended up creating their own complicated, increasingly fractured, increasingly corrupt kingdom that fell apart. And then ultimately, under tremendous repression by the Romans, was destroyed. And the rabbis in the 2nd century had a choice. They had this old holiday from the military kingdom. And they could have said, that's all gone now. The Romans are here. The Romans are here. We need to just focus on the high holy days. But they preserved this holiday. And they said it wasn't actually just about the military victory. For the rabbis, it's actually the light in the temple after the war is over. And the light lasted 8 days instead of 1. And they lifted up the words of the prophet Zechariah, who said, not by might, not by power, but by spirit, in the old liturgies. Those are the quotes, not the quotes lifting up the profound military uprising, but by this determination. And there are some contemporary commentators who say, well, that's because they were scared of the Romans and they didn't want to raise any flags, so they said, let's keep it on the down low. But there was something profoundly religious about this, where it's not just about the military holiday. It's not. It's about awe. It's about determination. It's about literally rededication of the temple. Rededication of the lights of hope in a world that says you shouldn't. Rededication. is what this holiday is about. Over 8 days, 8 nights of intentional candle lighting and prayers to the source of all, asking us all around the world to remember that night doesn't last forever, and that through profound repression, there is also an amazing will to survive and to pass on stories and to love families and to keep going. Our tradition for many years was very anti-ritualistic. We were a sermon tradition, long lectures, maybe a few hymns. But after World War II and the profound reflection all around the world, we started to change. And without the permission of ministers or rabbis or priests, people, like we heard in the story, started to fall in love and say, hey, this is a religion about freedom. I want to bring who I am to it. I want to bring who I am, who my grandmother was, into this space and offer these stories and rituals. And what had been a relatively secular form of Protestantism started to stretch and grow and change. And light entered our sanctuaries. And we're still growing, and we're still changing. And I have no doubt that in 50 years we will look different and our rituals will be different. But just like the rabbinical commentators inherited stories and traditions and said, what is at the core of this that points to our growth as individuals and our dedication as people, we now decide what we lift up. And those who succeed us will do the same. The young adults in this congregation are so wise. So wise. I am delighted and curious to see what faith all around the world they're going to bring. And we have a gift and opportunity to think about how we can be like Potak's father and engage with the young adults around us and support them on their journeys as they're trying to make meaning in a time that is mean and scary, where many adults don't know what's going on. And they can see it. That was completely evident to me in that conversation. They know that we're also trying to figure out what to do. So let's be loving. Let's be connected. And let's remember, it's not by military might, it's not by power, but by spirit that we rededicate the temple, and that we rededicate one another, and that we rededicate our lives to compassion unfolding. So happy festival of dedication, happy Hanukkah, happy festival of lights, and may we make that commitment to be present in this scary world because it needs some light. May it be so.
Each week we make an offering from the bounty that we are blessed to enjoy. We do this in the spirit of love and generosity, aware that we have benefited from those who have gone before, those who in their turn gave generously. Our offering goes to support the work of love and justice undertaken by this community. Today's offering will also be shared with the Croton Cortland Food Pantry located at the Holy Name of Mary Church in Croton. Their mission is to work to alleviate hunger among families and individuals whose income is insufficient for their needs. The pantry serves the communities of Buchanan, Cortland, Croton, Montrose, Peekskill, and Verplank. For more information, please visit their website, foodpantryInCroton.org. You can make your donation in several ways. If present in the sanctuary, you may give cash or a check in the offering plate as it comes by. From your homes, you can make your donation via credit card or PayPal using the links provided in the e-newsletter or by visiting our website, uuhudsonvalley.org. Or if you prefer, you can always mail us a check. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. Of the offering. The words are in your order of service. May these gifts and the work of our hands and hearts give power to all we stand for as a community of faith. Now please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing number 1053 in your teal hymnal, How Could Anyone? We're going to do it twice. That's what X2 means. Thank you. Please join me now in extinguishing the chalice. The words are in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
May we be rededicated to compassion. May we be rededicated to love, and may we be rededicated to that morning rising. May it be so.
So let's raise the rafters a little bit. If you want to look on number 118, it's also in your hymn book for this little line of mine. I've got a few extra verses I'll take on time, so feel free to rise in body or spirit.